The SM Media Podcast Network. Hi, folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Refs View right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It is always a pleasure to be your host, and it's a two-man team this week. Steve is off in Lithuania, for what I assume are diplomatic reasons.
Yeah. Keeping the peace between him and his wife.
But yeah, I mean, we're here. Obviously, the two of us are here. Des Roach is with me as always, mate. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, good to be here and say I'll keep our side up, Scott, while
It's
Mr. Conroy's
usually,
away.
it's usually like us talking about drama, but referees, the drama's kind of beyond referees this week in the world.
I've just
Like,
seen, I woke up this morning and I had a few messages on my phone that seemed to indicate something was happening. I think what it does do is certainly be unless you're a football fan who's been sleeping under a rock for the past 20 hours. I think this is going to make the League Cup semi-final weekend far more interesting than it was ever going to be.
yeah, and we'll get into that said cup semi-final later on when we talk about the refereeing appointments for the weekend. We are recording this obviously on Tuesday night. There's five Premier League games due on Wednesday, so let's hope there's nothing contentious in them. But we'll go and analyse what happened at the weekend. There's not a lot, a couple incidents kind of majorly. We'll start with the one that probably the game of the weekend was Hearts 3, Celtic 1. Hearts obviously taking an 8 point lead. Celtic removing their manager or the manager resigning. Take that with what you will. But Hearts are top of the table, absolutely deserve to be. Better
Yeah.
team on the day. One refereeing incident where Dane Murray fouled Claudio Braga. Penalty was given. I don't think there's any contention with this, do you?
No, I think it was when you see the incident at real time, you think, yes, it looks like a penalty. When you see it played back, it was actually quite well. Stephen did go across and check it. All I would say is that Dane Murray does make contact with Claudio Braga, but I thought Braga went down quite theatrical for such a light touch. But I'm not running at pace, and I'm not an athlete like he is, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I don't think there was any complaints. Again, it wasn't a game that was for the way it was built. I don't think there was much the kind of referee got wrong. Like it was one of those games where I thought first half it was really enjoyable. Second half, I think Hearts began to get a wee bit of a feel, and then the penalty just kind of killed Celtic, to be honest.
Yeah, no, listen, absolutely no question about it. The better team won, deserved to win. Dane Murray scores a ridiculous own goal to start the proceedings off. Shankland involved in numerous occasions, and the Dane Murray contact on Braga. Yes, it was a penalty kick, so nothing to complain about.
No, I don't think. I think we're pretty much good with that. Moving on to Rangers 3, Kilmarnock 1, first league game, League One for Danny Rowe and his new job. Again, not a lot of issues with this. There was
No.
one incident where Nicholas Raskin got a goal ruled out for offside. I think that there's certain stills that you look at and think there's maybe a wee bit of an issue with the lines. My issue with this though was it took 5 minutes and 47 seconds for this.
Yeah, far too long. And we mentioned that last week that the Celtic Dundee game where the ball came off the Dundee player's face rather than his hands. When we seen it on replay live on watching the game, we all agreed it at the time it was off his face and it should
Yeah.
have been dealt with because I think that was like 2 minutes and 40 odd seconds as well when it really should have been done and dusted straight away. Like you, I've seen the stills trying to show Raskin being onside, being offside. I think what done Raskin there was he took a heavy touch just
Yeah.
prior to the ball going away. And the commander plays made the tackle and it's put straight back through to him. I don't have any major issue with that. Yeah, I'm quite happy that's an offside goal. And more importantly, it had no incremental effect on the game.
It really didn't. And again, it's one of those where the game was so like it was going so smoothly. And again, there was incidents not relating to refereeing. It was just there was kind of both teams made a lot of mistakes, but the referee didn't really need to get involved. The other game on Sunday, Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2. Couple of incidents here. There was a possible foul in the build-up to the first Hibs goal.
Yeah.
Stuart Armstrong claimed for a foul. It wasn't given on field, and VAR agreed. Des, do we agree?
I've got to admit, when I first seen it, I thought, looks as if there's been an infringement there. When I seen it the second time, as VAR would have done, I, do you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay that there wasn't enough there to commit a foul. I think Armstrong is maybe guilty. If he went down straight away, I think that would have probably sold it a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But by selling it more, does that make it right? Not necessarily. It is a contact sport. There are going to be comings together. Nobody really made much from it. Say first viewing, I thought, yeah, looks like a possible foul. Let's look at it again. Seen it again. I'm okay with a foul not being given it. And Cleage still had quite a lot of work to do from given where he was in the field of play when he received the ball. So yeah, I'm okay with the goal for Hibs.
Yeah, I thought it was fine as well. Hibs did have the ball in the net and it was disallowed. I thought that's a really good use of VAR, and I don't say that very often. Boyle's trailing foot was ruled to be offside. One of those examples where correct use of it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that's where people, again, people have got to understand every goal that is scored is looked at for the
Yeah.
attacking player pathway and the attacking phase of play. I don't think anybody was looking at Martin Boyle's heel being offside, but the correct use of VAR, Greg Aitken was there. He obviously informed Don Robertson um, pretty quickly, and the goal was correctly chopped off. So as I say, we're quick enough to criticise, so I think we should be quick enough to praise as well.
A really good use of VAR for me, and I think it was probably the right. Eventually, was the right call. We'll go to Saturday. 3 games. I say not a lot of massive incidents, but just a couple that maybe caught the eye. Dundee United 3, St Mirren 1. Shamal George handled the ball outside of the box. A free kick was given. A yellow card was shown, and Dundee United scored from the free kick. Should this be what should be the punishment for this?
See, when we talk about the ball being in and out of play, and we've looked at, I think the famous one was in the World Cup when Maeda was involved a couple of years ago, where the silhouette of the ball is overhanging
Yeah.
the white line, as we see numerous times the way corner kicks are taken as well. I might be entirely wrong here, but I thought that was a case of the silhouette, if not the ball itself, being on the line. I I didn't think so, Phil, and it's not because of obviously where I'm from. I thought that was extremely harsh. But if he is deemed to have picked the ball up and used his hands outside the penalty, then it's got to be a caution
Mm-hmm.
because it's a deliberate act that he's made. My my only my only reservation was it factually outside the penalty area. And it was
Yeah.
extremely tight.
Is
But
VAR going to get involved in that though because it's a yellow?
no. No, because the referee's deemed to have made his mind along with the assistant referee, so they are not there. That's re-refereeing the game. Unless he can make a factual overturn, VAR shouldn't be getting involved in that.
Because that was my first thought. Because the way I think for me is out the box, but again we can have our differences. The problem with this though is it scores from the free kick. I
It's
think
always
it,
it's always going to be that way,
no,
isn't it? You
but
see it how many times you see it, you go, they're going to go out the park and score
I
if
just assumed it was a red card. I don't know why. I'm sure it was a red card before.
no.
Is it
Well,
not?
no, because he's made a genuine attempt to what he think was to play the
Do
ball,
you know what?
and
Do you know what the reason I think of that? Do you remember? This is I'm going back 1994. This is before I even existed. Do you remember Wraith Rovers in the Cup semi-final? The goalkeeper. I
uh,
can't remember who the goalkeeper was. Was it Scott Thompson?
quite
Like
possibly he was there for
he
years.
he handled the ball outside the box and was given a red.
See, I was in my running days then. I remember.
But somebody
I,
can maybe look at that. Somebody can maybe correct me. But I'm sure I've seen that. I'm sure when I was we did something in the channel for Wraith Rovers back when they won the cup, and I'm sure watching that back, their goalkeeper gets sent off in the semi-final for handling the ball outside the box.
well, if someone can find it, please send it to us because it will certainly enlighten us and maybe educate us a wee bit as
Mhm.
well. So if anybody can find that, send it over on us to
Please
Twitter.
do. Please do, because I'm if it is right, it shows you
That's knowledge.
that's 31 years ago and the rules changed somewhere.
Well, yeah, it must have. And say it was before my involvement in refereeing at that time. I
Hmm.
was more involved as a fan.
The next one was deemed by the referee on field to be the worst, one of the worst tackles he's ever seen. We're talking about the Alex Gogic tackle, which is given as a red card after VAR gets involved. John Beaton doesn't even touch this on the park. So how can he? What leads him to deem that the worst tackle he's ever shown? And if you look at the cameras, it's not as if he can claim he hasn't seen it because because he's right in front of it. So he's either not.
Yeah.
As again go back to, he's either not watching or he ignores it.
Well, his sole job is to be watching the game and to make decisions that are right in front of you. That's your VAR is there to bail you out of a circumstance when you haven't seen it. You've not had a clear and obvious viewing of it. It's there to assist when the referee um, has no valid opinion on it. I don't know how John's not got a valid opinion on that because he didn't have his view blocked, and we're only hearing hearsay that he's
Yeah, that's
mentioned
that's something from Stephen Robinson. Yeah,
that this is the worst tackle that he's ever seen. If John has said that, I think it's a very foolish thing to say to a manager at that moment in time because the first thing a manager's going to do is he's going to go and tell the press and tell the
yes,
media
yeah.
what's been said, so therefore it discredits you.
And the first thing the press and media, i.e., us, are going to ask is, why did you not give anything for it on the park?
Yeah, that's what I find it really hard. When I seen the replay, you think, oh yeah, absolutely, it's a foul, it's a kick. Is it the worst tackle I've ever seen in my life? No, I think I've seen quite a few worse, but at that moment in time, it's no savior and no consolence to someone. Yes, it's a foul. Yes, it's a red card.
No
But
issues with that. Absolutely, sir.
no. But what I would have issues with, and if I'm Willie Collum, and we hear it numerous times about he's there to coach his referees. I'm sorry, but if you're in the right position with an unobstructed view, why do you need coached
Yeah,
not to pick? Why do you need
exactly.
coached to not pick that up? That is a fundamental error.
Yeah, that was my exact thoughts as well. I don't think they can have. I don't think Goggins can have any complaints with it. It's just, why does John say that to a manager? Because the first thing that manager's going to come out and say is, that's what the referee told him. Because
Yeah,
my explanation would be, why has that not been given as a red? It might have been Jim Goodwin that said that, actually. It was Jim Goodwin or Stephen Robinson. Whoever said it, it came out that John Beaton had said that it
yeah.
was one of the worst tackles I've ever seen.
You keep your own counsel on that because you are not going to win. If you've missed even given a foul and you turn around and have to then overturn your own decision, not just with a penalty, but with a red card, that's it. You've done your job. You do not need to. All you're doing there is doubling down and making yourself look a wee bit worse. However, that is if he has said that. We
Yeah,
must we must
and
caveat with that.
what if he has said that? If he hasn't said that, I actually think it's another really good use of VAR, because it is one of those that if your vision's blocked, you won't see. I know that
Mhm.
sounds ridiculous, but it's one of those tackles that's like, you could probably get away with if VAR wasn't a thing. But
Yeah.
it's the
Well,
fact that you look at the camera, he's right on it.
yeah, it's a fact. We've seen it recently, and we hear the term. It's a factual overturn. They're overturning that decision
Yeah,
through a factual decision. This has occurred. You need to change your you
yeah,
need to change your stance on it, which is great. And again, like the previous one we're talking about, that is why VAR is there. So it's a good use of VAR, maybe just not good use of the referee.
yeah. And again, overall, it didn't affect Dundee United won the game comfortably. So Madden probably weren't getting back into it. Falkirk 2, Dundee 1. I think we'll maybe disagree on this. There was a tackle by Wilson on Hamilton. Penalty was not given. I've seen this getting a lot of contention on social media. I've seen a lot of people for this and a lot of people against it. What camp are you on?
I think it was wrong. I think that I don't know. It was just ridiculous. But I mean, did it go to an on-field review? Was it called across? I think
I
the
don't think it was called a cross. No, I think it
no,
was. There was a bit
it,
of a delay, but I don't think it was called a cross. No.
no, it was Ross Hardy who was the referee, and Andrew Dallas was the VAR.
Mhm.
Was the ref in the VAR wrong? I I
I
don't know.
can
I
see a case for a penalty.
I can see the case. I absolutely can see the case, but ultimately, you can only go with your gut feeling, and my gut feeling was no, that's not a penalty kick.
Yeah.
If it had happened up the other end of the field, would John McGlynn be looking for a penalty for it?
I think a lot of people are in the I can see a case for it. But again, if it's not given, do you
And
is it that big an incident? I don't know. But
and
again,
see if
like,
we're saying there, I can see a case for it. That's not you saying that's 100% a
no, no,
penalty.
no, no, no.
And if you're not 100% sure, then you can't stand by it and give it. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
I can see I can play devil's advocate and go, okay, yeah, I can understand it. Am I willing to hang my hat on it and make that major call? No.
Livingston were given a penalty against St Mirren. It was scored. It was fine. The next one was a handball by Tate. Wasn't given by by ref, but overturned by VAR, and penalty was given and scored.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous handball with Macaulay Tate. It
Yeah,
was, I think that could only
very clumsy.
it could only go down as a involuntary action. His hands just done it, and his arms just done it instinctively without him. I don't think for a minute he would be meaning to do that in his own
Yeah.
penalty when it's so obvious and he's bringing his arm out up at shoulder height. It's almost like a volleyball strike. So yeah, I think that I think Davy Martindale will be raging considering his team lost the game. Not just because of that, but it certainly didn't help. But yeah, I think that's one of the silliest penalties I've seen given away for a long
What I will
time.
say is, and again, this is bringing the kind of football side of it. I'm delighted that Motherwell got something because they've deserved it for their performances this season.
Oh,
They're due a wee run. They're due
they've
a wee
been
run.
they've been fantastic, and they've been changing coaches also the last few while. Kettlewell leaving this new, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but I think he's been a breath of fresh air since he came in.
Yeah, I like him.
He's playing well. He talks well. I mean, you hear Andy Halliday, who's not getting a look in, despite being Player of the Year last year. He's praising him all the time, so it shows you that he's got the team and the club working around him, and they're all buying into him as well.
Yeah. One of those weekends where I didn't think we were going to disagree very much. I didn't think there was a lot there to look at that would go, we're totally going to be different here. That being said, next weekend we're going to have an Old Firm Cup semi-final. We're also going to have other games as well. We have got the appointments for both cup semi-finals. Motherwell versus St Mirren. Don Robertson has the game as referee. David Room and Ross McLeod as assistant referees. Greg Aitken on VAR and Gavin Duncan on AVAR. Okay.
Yeah, that's a steady pair of hands for that semi-final.
Celtic versus Rangers on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Nick Walsh referee. I think you know my feeling.
Yeah, listen, Nick, for a long time, he was seen as our leading light. I don't think he's been at his best form maybe for the past sort of 8 months or so. I think that since the turn of the year, he's maybe had a couple of ropey games here and there. But listen, referees are like players. You go through bouts of good form and bouts of maybe a bit sticky. So I just hope that Nick can come out of this. But he's experienced in it. I think if you're not giving it to John Beaton or Don, Nick is the obvious one. But David Dickinson might have been a shout of it because he's just done the Edinburgh Derby recently as well. He might be a shout for the final, bearing in mind that it'll only be one Old Firm team that's in it.
Yeah. Assistant referees Daniel McFarlane as AR1 and Frank Connor as AR2. Now, Frank Connor was the same AVAR who missed that penalty in the Rangers Celtic game last season in the cup final. I'm not going to be. People know my persuasion, right? People maybe think of this, I'm coming across as bitter. I'm really not. That was our biggest game of that season up until that point. Frank Connor was under a lot of pressure after that. There was talk of Frank Connor losing his job the same way Alan Muir did. I'm not saying Frank Connor's a bad assistant, right? I don't know much about him. I don't know what his circumstances are. I just think that's a really bad judgment from Willie to give him that game and put him under the same scrutiny because I've seen it from a lot of people. Putting him under
Yeah,
pressure before the game, I think, just is ludicrous.
yeah. I mean, I've not spoken to Frank for a number of years since obviously I stopped. And I've worked with him numerous times. I always found him a very dependable and solid assistant referee. Nice guy as well. Always got on well with him. With regards to what happened last year, we all we all seen it. We're not going to sugarcoat it. I think I was the first one to call it out, saying that it was a penalty because the ball was on the penalty area line, um, and that then gained a lot of traction from it, and which was subsequently proven to be correct. Unfortunately, as you've just referenced, Alan Muir lost his position at that moment in time.
Not just for that, but
No,
that was one of the big
that was
incidents.
that was that was one of it. What I would say regarding Frank Connor, as I just said, he's a very dependably does his job very professionally. Still part of the FIFA list. I think that it would have been better served to not appoint Frank to this particular game at this particular time. Uh, I think that they've got enough assistant referees and assistant VARs that it's maybe too fresh in the mind of a lot of people.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, that's.
But it's not to say that listen, it's not to say that he's going to go out there and do anything
Mhm.
untoward to try and balance it back up, that he's got it wrong one time, because that doesn't happen. If you make an error, the most important decision is you get the next one correct.
Yeah.
And that's in that game, it's in the next game, it's in every game. What I think it's maybe a case of, and I might be entirely wrong and get shot down, but I think this is maybe a case of the SFA turning around and saying, well, we'll decide what happens here, and we are we're the men in charge. Let's just put it that way. Not to go too further into it, but I think this is a Willie and hierarchy saying it's our job, no yours. We'll decide.
Aye, but it's needless. It's needless. So, like for
It is
example,
needless. It is
it's
needless.
if Frank does the Motherwell St Mirren game, I don't think there's any. Not that- I mean, Motherwell St Mirren fans will maybe say on there you're being disingenuous. I'm not meaning that Frank Connor. I think Frank Connor is purposely. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're opening up a guy who maybe doesn't deserve it scrutiny
Yeah.
because he was involved in an incident like this
I
in this
think
game last season.
Yeah, I think they owe a duty of care and
Yeah,
responsibility
that
for
yeah,
what for one of the, I wouldn't say employees because they're not employed, but for one of their contractors and one of their
yeah.
match officials. I think if it was me and I was in that position, if I'd put Frank in there, listen, I trust Frank, right? He'll do a good job. I'm sure he will. It'll be unbiased as it always is. See if you didn't appoint him to it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. See if
Mhm.
you put him into the final and it's Celtic versus somebody or Rangers versus somebody, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think it's just because it's so prominent in the mind for a lot of the football fans for either side of the Old Firm divide, that is obviously taking a bit of a interest in it.
Yeah, and again, like obviously, Stephen McLean's on VAR and Andrew Dallas is on AVAR. Stephen McLean, I don't think, had a good season. I think there's been a few incidents. I thought he
There's
was
been
okay in Sunday, but
I think the game itself made it easy for Stevie on
yeah,
Sunday. I think that game, but Stevens been around for a long time. Stevens probably, in fact, I would say, is the most experienced referee that we currently have. The fact that he's not FIFA anymore,
mhm.
but still gets the top games in the league, shows you how highly that the SFA trust him. Has he had better seasons? Yes. Has he had better games? Yes, he has. But being his VAR, I would trust Stephen as VAR because he's got the experience and he knows how to use the system.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, we'll go to just the kind of games over the in midweek. Chris Graham's got Motherwell and United. Matthew McDermott's got St Mirren Hearts. Duncan Nicholson, Kilmarnock Aberdeen. Hibs Rangers is John Beaton. Ryan Lee, Celtic Falkirk. Ryan Lee and Duncan Nicholson, that's kind of good opportunities for them, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, they broke through. They broke through recently. Not guys that I know at all.
Hmm.
Guys I've seen their name, etc. Nothing's really come up that's striking to me of any major errors. So it's good to, let's be honest. We've got John Beaton, Don Robertson, Nick Walsh, Kevin Clancy, Stephen McLean. They're five guys with lots of experience in your teams. You can't keep a bottleneck.
No.
You've got to be bringing through young guys. And the fact that we don't have much on them, the fact that there's no glaring highlights or um, headlines about them, they're also doing well. No, I'll be interested to see how Matthew McDermott gets on at St Mirren Hearts, because I think St Mirren are almost like when teams are on a run, they always take points off of Celtic, they always take points off of Rangers. Hearts are going really, really well at the moment. Um, I might actually take myself along to that game. I quite fancy it.
Yeah, that could be a game to go to as well. I am working. I'm trying to get the last 50 minutes off so I can go to that. Well, I can watch a game from full. Probably Hibs Rangers I'd watch, I'd imagine. But we will, any issues that come up in midweek, we'll be on them. We'll be back next week where we'll obviously cover the cup semi-finals, and there's three league games as well. So it's going to be busy next weekend. I don't know if we'll have a three-man panel, but man, we've done well in Steve's absence.
Oh, listen, this is the best one we've ever done, right? So that's what that's what he's
Yeah,
getting. I think he's due back about tea time or so, so he might still be on the Lithuania time.
yeah. We will be back next week anyway. Des, always a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, Scott.
Top
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you. We'll see you all soon.